UFC 300 is upon us, and guys, this is an amazing card. I think that fans don't realize how good is this card. We have Pereira, we have Charles do Bronx, we have Gaethje, we have Nickal, we have here Prochazka, we have Figgy, we have so many stars, so many champions and former champions, and man, this is a very good card. So in this video we are going to break down and predict every single fight on UFC 300, and we are going to get started with the most important fight to the last important fight. The first one that we are going to be breaking down is Pereira against Hill. So I think that Pereira wins this fight through a left or a right hook, because Hill is very vulnerable to left hooks because he overextends with his overhand and his right hook, and I think that Pereira is going to catch him really good with a left or a right hook. And I think that the leg kicks are going to work because he had a torn Achilles and he has a very wide stance that will allow Pereira to make him crumble on his legs. And man, I believe that Pereira is going to win this fight. I think that it's going to be a close match, but I think that Pereira has the edge to win this fight very simply. I have a video just talk about this fight, go and watch it, will be very interesting. The second fight is Zhang Weili versus Xiaonan. I think that all depends on what Zhang Weili is going to bring inside the octagon. If she decides to just strike against Xiaonan, she's completely done, because Xiaonan is going to sleep her if she decides to strike with Xiaonan. And I think that Zhang is more mature than she was way before. I think that she will do what she needs to do in order to win, and she's going to make a boring fight, but she's going to win by decision or simply a TKO from the ground. And I think that she's going to do MMA and win a decision or a late finish against Xiaonan, because Weili is more mature than she was before, and I think that this maturity will allow her to let her ego go and act like a champion and do what she needs to do in order to win this fight. And it's a boring performance, but man, the important is the win. So let's talk about Gaethje versus Holloway. I think that Gaethje is going to destroy Holloway in the first 2 rounds, and man is going to continue to beat him down until the 5th round, or is going to finish him in the 3rd or in the 4th. The only way that I'm seeing Holloway win is surviving the first 2 rounds and then beating Gaethje for 3 rounds, the later 2 rounds. And I think that if he wants, if he's really grinding and trying to be somewhere in this division, I think that he can get the win. But I think that Gaethje is going to beat Holloway, because Gaethje is way destructive to Max, and Max is so weak for 155, and I think that Gaethje is going to destroy him in the first 2 rounds. So the next is Oliveira versus Tsarukyan. I think that Charles is better on striking and jiu-jitsu, and Tsarukyan is a better wrestler, but Tsarukyan is not going to be able to do anything against Oliveira on the ground, because Oliveira is so good, man. Even Islam wasn't able to do shit. Even Darius was able to do anything against him. And I think that Oliveira is going to beat Tsarukyan, is going to break him down after the first round. And I think that he's going to finish by a KO, or is going to knock down Tsarukyan, and Tsarukyan will try to get on his legs, and Charles is going to guillotine him and win the fight by submission. So this is the way that I see this fight going on. And then we have Nickal versus Brundage. I think that Brundage is very big and strong. He has a good grappling, but I think that Nickal is going to finish him, because Nickal is on another level. He's way better than Brundage everywhere, and he has KO power. Man, I don't think that someone is going to compare Brundage to Nickal. So I think that is a first or a second round finish. I don't need to talk about this, because Nickal is simply better than him. So I think that Nickal is going to beat him. This is a good match, because Brundage is a new opponent. He is a good test to Nickal to see if he's elite, and I think that he's going to pass this test with no problems. So the next fight, going to the prelim fights, we are talking about Jiri Prochazka and Alexander Rakic. And I think that Jiri is wild and he can KO everybody in this division, but I think that Rakic is a better MMA fighter. So he is boring sometimes, but I think that he can take a decision. I think that Rakic can take a decision against Prochazka because Prochazka is too wild and people can take advantage of that, because if you are wild and I am calm and I can find shots and find openings to beat you time after time and win a decision, and I don't think that Jiri Prochazka is going to change, and I think that Alexander Rakic is going to beat him by decision. Going to this fight, I think that Kattar versus Sterling is going to be a good match, and I think because it's a 3-rounder, I think that Aljamain Sterling is going to get it. Kelvin Kattar is more of a boxer. Because he's a boxer, I think that Aljamain Sterling can take his back twice at least, and if he takes his back, either is going to finish him or is going to backpack him and win a decision. So I think that Sterling is winning this fight by decision. Talking about Kayla Harrison versus Holm, I think that Holm now is a decent striker, but she was elite somewhere in time when she beat Ronda Rousey and these things. She was elite, but now decent, and she likes to clinch a lot, and I think that is a better idea against a bigger and a better judoka than you. I think that this is not good because she's going to be taken down and maybe submitted or simply dominated on the ground. And I think that if Kayla makes weights, actually what I really doubt, because she's really big, I don't think that she's going to make the weight. So I think that because of this, Kayla Harrison is going to win this fight by decision if she makes weights. So talking about Yussuf versus Lopes, I think that submission or a simple decision for Lopes, because Lopes is going to struggle in the first round because he will try to adapt to Yussuf striking, but after this he's going to take him down, steamroll him, and maybe submit him or getting a decision. I think that he's going to finish him in the later rounds, in the second or the third, but I don't think that a decision is something absurd. I think that Lopes get this fight. I don't know if it is by decision or a sub, but I think that a sub is more likely. Talking about Jalin Turner versus Moicano, I think that Moicano shouldn't have taken this fight because Turner is a massive lightweight. He's like more than 6 foot and he's an elite striker with KO power. I think that Turner is going to steamroll him and KO him in the first or the second round, because Moicano is not a very intelligent fighter, and I think that Moicano will have to grapple a lot in this fight or he's going to get KO'd. So I don't see Moicano beating Turner, and I think that Jalin Turner is going to KO him badly, and I don't want to see this scene because I like Moicano. He's one of my favorite fighters, by the way. So talking about Andrade versus Rodriguez, I think that Andrade is going to win by KO because Andrade is younger, she was champion. Both are with bad records, but I think that she's going to pull a KO against Rodriguez because Rodriguez is so inconsistent, and I think that this fight is not a good matchup for her. Andrade is big and strong, and she doesn't lead so well with big and stronger opponents than her, so I think that Andrade is going to beat her by KO. So talking about Green versus Miller, I think that Miller is going to win by KO or decision. Bobby Green was KO'd badly and was a late stoppage against Jalin Turner in his last fight, and I don't think that he's going to recover so well of that fight. And man, I think that Jim Miller is crafty and he is good to find the shots to KO you, to get a knockout, and man, I think that Miller is going to pull out a decision or a great KO, and I think that will be a vintage win from Miller, and maybe he can retire. Maybe, I don't know if he wants to actually retire. So I think that Jim Miller is going to beat Bobby Green. I think that might sound crazy, but Bobby Green is not in a good spot right now because that KO was brutal. I don't think that he's going to recover from that just now. Talking about Figgy versus Cody, man, I think that Figgy is going to beat Cody Garbrandt because Cody was KO'd by Kai Kara France, man. Kai Kara France, no way, man. And man, Figgy is better than Cody everywhere. And Figgy is 36, but I think that he has still that power that he carries, because he can knock out anyone with that type of power, making flyweights fly with these shots. And man, I think that he's going to land a clean shot in the second or the third round, make Cody fly throughout the octagon. And I love Cody, but I love Figgy too, and I think that Figgy is going to beat him very impressively and maybe get in the title picture. I don't think he's going to be champion at bantamweight because of the age, but I think that he's going to be a good contender. So with everything said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave the like, subscribe and help me, and see you next time.